I don't believe in
Where
fate.
are you?
Never
It's
have.
freezed out here.
A man makes
I
his
can't
own way
see
in
you.
this world,
Answer me.
builds what he needs
coming
with his
to
own
find
two
you.
hands, fights his own battles. But that night, standing before my wife's grave, as the first snow began to fall,
Who's
I
out there?
came close to believing something was
Step
guiding
aside
me.
now.
Something
What do you
I couldn't
want?
see or name. Something that knew I was about to lose everything. December 15th, 1875. The sky over Miller's Ridge Cemetery had turned the color of old bruises. I knelt in the frozen dirt, one hand pressed against the simple stone marker that bore my wife's name, Sarah Ashford, beloved wife and mother, gone too soon. 2 years. 2 years since I'd ridden home from Denver to find her already in the ground. 2 years since I'd buried my newborn son beside her, the boy I never got to hold. The boy whose name I never got to speak while he was still breathing. My daughter Rose stood beside me, small and quiet in her wool coat. 6 years old, all I had left in this world. She looked up at me with those dark eyes, Sarah's eyes, and asked the question that still cut me to the bone. Papa, can Mama hear me when I talk to her? I swallowed hard, kept my voice steady. She can, sweetheart. Your mama always hears you. Rose nodded, seeming satisfied. Then she whispered something that stopped my heart. I miss Mama, but I don't remember her face anymore. I pulled my daughter close, felt her small body shaking against mine. Not from cold, from the same grief that had been eating at me for 2 years straight. The grief I couldn't show her because a father had to be strong, had to be the rock his daughter could cling to when everything else washed away. But the truth was simpler and harder. I was drowning, had been drowning since the day I came home to silence and fresh graves. A man who couldn't protect his own wife had no business calling himself a man at all. The wind picked up, not gentle, vicious. The kind of wind that cuts through wool and leather like they're made of paper. I glanced at the sky and knew we were in trouble. The storm I'd been watching all morning was coming faster than I thought possible. We need to go, I said, already lifting Rose into my arms. Now. We made it to the horses. Barely. The snow started falling in earnest, thick, white curtains that turned the world into a blur. Our horses spooked, eyes rolling white with fear. I tried to calm them, tried to keep control, but the wind was screaming now and visibility had dropped to nothing. The bigger mare reared, tore the reins from my frozen fingers. Both horses bolted into the white darkness, leaving us standing alone in the middle of nowhere with night coming fast. I looked down at Rose, saw the fear in her face. Fear she was trying so hard to hide because she knew her papa needed her to be brave. 6 years old and already carrying burdens no child should know. I picked her up, started walking. Didn't know which direction. Didn't matter. Had to find shelter or we'd both be dead by morning. The snow was knee-deep within minutes. Every step was a battle. My lungs burned with cold. My hands went numb even inside my gloves. But I kept moving because stopping meant dying, and I'd be damned if I let my daughter freeze to death in these mountains. Rose's voice got quieter. Papa, I'm cold. I know, baby. Keep your eyes open. Look at me. Don't go to sleep. But she was fading. I could feel it. Her body going limp against my chest. Her breathing shallow. I walked faster, pushed harder, prayed to a God I wasn't sure was listening anymore. Then Rose saw something. A flicker of light through the trees, so faint I almost missed it. She lifted her head, pointed with one small hand. There she whispered, Papa, there's a light. She was right. A cabin, maybe half a mile away, might as well have been 100 miles. But it was hope, the first real hope I'd felt in 2 years. Rose slipped from my arms before I could stop her, ran toward that light with the last of her strength. I shouted for her to wait, but the wind took my words. I ran after her, heart-hammering terror turning my blood to ice. I found her face down in the snow. Not moving. Her lips were blue, her skin white as the ground beneath her. I dropped to my knees, turned her over, felt for a pulse. Still there. Weak. Fading. A voice cut through the storm. Hard. Female. Lily, I looked up. A woman stood 20 feet away, rifle in her hands, aimed at nothing, at everything. Her face was hollow with old grief, her eyes the color of winter sky. She stared at my daughter, at the small body in my arms, and something in her expression broke. That's not Lily, she said, more to herself than to me. Can't be Lily. Please, I managed. My daughter, she needs help. The woman looked at me then, really looked. Her eyes took in everything in 2 seconds flat. The expensive coat ruined by snow and blood. The desperate father holding a dying child. The fact that we had maybe minutes before hypothermia took us both. She made her decision without hesitation. Inside, now, before you both freeze to death on my doorstep. She turned and walked back toward the cabin. Didn't wait to see if we followed. Didn't offer help. Just expected us to keep up or die trying. I carried Rose through snow that tried to pull me under with every step. The cabin door stood open. Light and warmth poured out like a promise. I stumbled inside and the woman slammed the door behind us, cutting off the howling world. The heat hit me like a physical blow. My skin burned. My eyes watered. But I didn't care because Rose was still in my arms and she was still breathing, and that was all that mattered. The woman took Rose from me without asking permission. Laid her on the floor near the fireplace. Started stripping off the frozen clothes with quick, efficient movements. This wasn't her first time saving a life. Or trying to. You got a name, she asked, not looking at me. Focused entirely on Rose. Benjamin Ashford. Ben. She didn't offer her own name, just kept working. Wrapped Rose in quilts that smelled like cedar and old memories. Heated water on the stove. Made Rose drink tea one careful sip at a time. I watched this stranger save my daughter's life and realized I didn't know the first thing about her. Didn't know why she was living alone in the wilderness. Didn't know why she'd looked at Rose and said a different name. Didn't know anything except that she'd opened her door when she could have left us to die. Rose stirred, opened her eyes, looked at the woman, and whispered the word that broke something in both of us. Mama. The woman flinched. Pain flashed across her face so raw it hurt to witness. She turned away fast, but not fast enough. I saw the tears, saw her wipe them away with the back of one rough hand. Not your mama, sweetheart, I said quickly. This is the lady who saved us. Rose's eyes closed again. The woman stood, walked to the stove, started ladling soup into wooden bowls. Her movements were mechanical, controlled. A person who'd gotten very good at holding herself together. I looked around the cabin properly for the first time. One room, one hearth, one bed, a rifle above the door, a Bible on the table that looked like it hadn't been opened in years, shelves that were mostly empty, half a sack of flour, 3 potatoes sprouting eyes, a quarter wheel of cheese going hard at the edges. This was her last food, the soup she was serving us, the final meal she'd been saving. And she was giving it to strangers without a word of complaint. You shouldn't have, I started. She cut me off. Eat. You need your strength. We ate. Rose took the biggest portion. I took what was left. The woman claimed she'd already eaten, but I knew a lie when I heard one. I'd told enough of them myself. Night fell. The storm raged. Rose fell asleep in the only bed wrapped in quilts that had belonged to people I'd never know. The woman and I sat by the fire, silent, 2 strangers who'd saved each other's lives within the space of an hour. Finally, she spoke. You always this quiet, I could ask you the same thing. Fair enough. More silence. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the silence of 2 people who understood that sometimes words just got in the way. Why did you help us? I asked. She stared into the fire. When your daughter cried out, she said slowly, I heard my son, 4 years dead, and I still hear him calling for me in the dark. I felt that truth settle between us. Heavy, real. I'm sorry for your loss. She laughed. No humor in it. Are you, or are you just being polite? I thought about it. Gave her honesty instead of platitudes. Both, I suppose. I lost my wife 2 years ago. Childbirth. The baby didn't make it either. So yeah, I understand. And yeah, I'm sorry. Because nobody should have to bury the people they love. She looked at me then. Really looked. Saw something she recognized. Another person carrying the same impossible weight. My husband and son died in the same week, she said. Typhoid. I did everything right. Everything the doctor told me. They died anyway. That wasn't your fault. Her smile was bitter. You sound very certain about that. Because I know the difference between failing and losing. You can't fail at something you had no power to change. She studied me for a long moment. And what about you, Benjamin Ashford? Do you follow your own advice? I looked away. No. No, I don't. The next 2 days passed in a strange kind of peace. The storm raged outside, but inside the cabin there was warmth and quiet and the simple rhythm of survival. Rose woke up and wanted to know everything. Who was the lady? Where were we? When could we go home? I didn't have good answers for any of it. The woman whose name I still didn't know taught Rose to read from an old book with water-stained pages. She was patient, kind, better with children than she probably realized. Rose responded to her in ways she hadn't responded to anyone since Sarah died. On the second day I went hunting. Found the rabbit snares the woman had set near the creek. 2 rabbits. Fat ones. Enough meat to last us days if we were careful. I came back to find Rose and the woman sitting together by the fire. The woman was telling a story, something about a princess and a dragon and a brave knight. Rose's eyes were wide, completely absorbed. The woman looked up when I entered, saw the rabbits. Something shifted in her expression. Relief, maybe? Or gratitude? You didn't have to, she said. A man earns his keep. My father taught me that. I don't take without giving. She almost smiled. Sounds like a good father. He was. Built the ranch I run now. Taught me everything about cattle and horses and how to survive winters that would kill softer men. Died 10 years ago. Left me everything he'd built. You must miss him. Every day. But I had Sarah then, and that made it bearable. What changed? I met her eyes. I wasn't there when she needed me. Was off selling cattle in Denver while she was dying. By the time I got home, both of them were already in the ground. The woman didn't offer false comfort. Didn't tell me it wasn't my fault. Just nodded like she understood exactly what that kind of guilt felt like. That night we ate well. Rabbit stew thick with potatoes and the last of the woman's supplies. Rose laughed for the first time in months. A real laugh. The sound of it hit me like a punch to the chest. The woman saw my face. You okay? I cleared my throat. Haven't heard her laugh like that since Sarah died. She's a good kid. She deserves better than I can give her. Deserves a mother. Someone who can teach her the things I don't know how to teach. The woman's expression shuddered. Don't, she said quietly. Don't what? Don't ask me to be something I can't be. I wasn't asking. Just stating facts. Rose broke the tension by demanding another story. The woman obliged. I watched them together and felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Hope. Dangerous, terrible, beautiful hope. On the third morning the storm broke. I woke to silence so complete it hurt my ears. Sunlight streamed through the cabin windows. The world outside gleamed white and gold and impossibly beautiful. Time to go home. I found the horses in a canyon south of the cabin. Both alive, both unharmed. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt dread. Going home meant leaving this place, leaving the woman who'd saved us. I came back to the cabin to find Rose crying. The woman looked uncomfortable, lost, like she didn't know how to comfort a child who didn't want to leave her. Can't we stay? Rose asked. Please, Papa. We have to go home, sweetheart. We have responsibilities, people depending on us. But I like it here. Miss Emma is nice. Emma. Finally, a name. I looked at Emma. She looked at the floor. You should go, she said, before the next storm comes. I opened my mouth to agree. Then I heard horses, 3 riders, coming fast. I recognized Deputy Tucker's profile even from a distance. Recognized the 2 men with him. Victoria Aldridge's hired guns. Emma, I said quietly, we have a problem. She looked out the window. Saw what I saw. Her hand went to the rifle above the door. Who are they? People looking for me. If they find me here with you, it'll look bad. For both of us. How bad? Bad enough that a woman living alone might want to deny she ever saw us. Emma's jaw tightened. I don't lie well, she said. Never have. Then don't lie. Just don't volunteer information. The riders were a quarter mile out. I made a decision. Grabbed Rose. There's a root cellar under the floor by the hearth. Get in. Rose looked terrified. Papa? No. Just until they leave, baby. I promise. Emma pulled back the rug, showed me the trap door. I climbed down with Rose in my arms. Emma handed me a lantern. A blanket. Her eyes met mine. I'll handle this. I know you will. She closed the door. Darkness swallowed us. I held Rose tight and listened to boots on the porch above. Deputy Tucker's voice. Afternoon, ma'am. Looking for a man and a little girl. Gone missing in the storm. Emma's voice, flat, unrevealing. Haven't seen anyone. Been snowed in 3 days. Mind if we look around? I mind plenty. You got a warrant? This is a rescue mission. Then go rescue somewhere else. I told you I haven't seen anybody. Strange a woman living out here alone. Not many folks do that. Not many folks mind their own business either. Yet here we are. I heard Tucker's horse shift. Heard the creak of leather. If you see them, send word to town. There's a lady very concerned about that little girl. I'm sure there is. The sound of horses riding away. I waited. Counted to 100. Then Emma opened the door. They're gone, she said. I climbed out, set Rose down, looked at Emma. Why? Why what? Why protect us? You don't know me, don't know what I might have done. She met my eyes steadily. I know what you are. A father trying to protect his daughter, and I know what they are. Men who think power gives them the right to take whatever they want. I studied her. This woman who'd given us everything and asked for nothing. This stranger who'd become something more in the space of 3 days. Come with us, I said. Emma blinked. What? To my ranch. Work for me. Room and board and wages. You need a place. Rose needs a woman in her life who isn't trying to use her for leverage. We can help each other. I don't need charity. It's not charity. I need help. Someone I can trust. Someone who knows what it means to survive when everything's against you. Emma looked around the cabin, at the empty shelves and the cold walls and the loneliness that pressed in from every corner. How long, she asked. As long as you want. 1 month, 1 year, forever if it suits you. She was quiet for a long moment, then she nodded once. Okay, but just until things settle. Fair enough. We left within the hour. Emma packed what little she had, locked the cabin door behind her, didn't look back. We rode through snow that sparkled like broken glass under a winter sun. Rose sat in front of Emma on the saddle, chattering about the ranch and the horse and all the things she wanted to show her new friend. Emma listened with half a smile, the first real smile I'd seen on her face. 2 days of riding through mountain passes and frozen valleys. 2 nights camping under stars so bright they hurt to look at. And slowly, carefully, Emma told me the rest of her story. The ranch Victoria Aldridge wanted. The custody battle she was building. The fact that a widower with a young daughter made for an easy target in the eyes of the law and society both. So you marry her or she takes Rose? That's the idea. Emma's hand tightened on the reins. She won't win. You sound very sure. I am, because I've met women like her before. Women who think they can break you if they just push hard enough. But they don't understand something important. What's that? People who've already been broken can't break again. We just get harder. On the second day, we crested a ridge, and there it was, Ashford Ridge, 10,000 acres of valley and pasture and timber, the house Sarah and I had built, the barns and bunkhouses and corrals, a lifetime of work spread out under the Colorado sky. Emma stared. That's yours, was my father's. Now it's mine. And Rose's someday. It's beautiful. It's home. Or it was. Before Sarah died, it felt like home. Now it just feels like a place I'm trying to hold on to. Maybe it'll feel like home again. I looked at her. Maybe. Walter Hayes met us in the yard, 58 years old, gruff as winter, my foreman and the closest thing to family I had left besides Rose. He took one look at Emma and nodded. About damn time you brought someone sensible home. This is Emma Thornton. She'll be helping around the house. Give her the guest room. And Walter, I need you to send for Tom Crawford. The sheriff, yeah. We need to talk strategy. Walter's expression hardened. Victoria. Inside the house, Judith, the housekeeper, took charge. Got Emma settled. Got Rose fed and bathed and tucked into bed. Left me standing in my own study, feeling like a stranger. Emma found me there an hour later. Rose asked for you, wants you to tuck her in. I went. Found my daughter buried under quilts in her small bed. She looked impossibly tiny, impossibly precious. Papa, she said sleepily. Is Miss Emma staying for a while? Yes, good. I like her. She makes me feel safe. I kissed her forehead. Go to sleep, baby. I went back downstairs. Emma stood by the window looking out at the darkened yard. I poured 2 glasses of whiskey, offered her one. She took it. Thank you, I said. For everything. You don't owe me thanks. Yeah, I do. We drank in silence, then Emma spoke. That woman, Victoria, she's not going to stop, is she? No, she won't. Then we need a plan better than hiding. I looked at her. What did you have in mind? Emma turned to face me fully. Her eyes were clear, determined. Marry me. I nearly dropped my glass. What, you need a wife? Someone who can prove Rose has a stable home. I need a place to live. We make it legal. Real enough that the court believes it. That's not fair to you. Life isn't fair. But we make the best of what we're given. I studied her. This woman who'd walked into my life 3 days ago and turned everything upside down. You'd do that, marry a man you barely know. I know enough. You're a good father, a good man. You're honest, and you work hard, and you love your daughter more than anything. She took a breath. And I know you're still in love with your dead wife, which means you won't expect things from me I can't give. What do you get out of this home? A purpose, a chance to matter to someone again. I thought about it, weighed the options, came to the only conclusion that made sense. When soon? Before Victoria files her petition. Emma held out her hand. Deal. I took it, shook once, felt calluses against my palm. The hand of someone who'd worked hard for everything she had. Deal. 5 days. That's all the time we had before everything would change forever. The wedding took place 5 days later at sunset. I'd been married before, with love, with joy, with Sarah standing beside me in white lace, her smile brighter than the sun. This time felt different, calculated, strategic, a battle move disguised as a ceremony. But when Emma walked out of the house in Sarah's altered dress, something in my chest tightened painfully. Judith had worked miracles with the fabric, changed the neckline, taken in the waist, made it Emma's even though it had belonged to my first wife. Emma's face was pale but steady. No trembling hands, no second thoughts visible in her eyes. She walked toward me with the same determination she'd shown facing down Deputy Tucker. The ceremony was small, ranch hands lined up in their Sunday best. Walter stood as witness with his hat in his hands. Judith cried quietly into a handkerchief. Rose bounced on her toes, barely able to contain her excitement. Preacher Johnson from Miller's Creek had known me since I was 10 years old. He looked at me with concern, barely hidden behind his professional demeanor. Son, he said quietly before we started, are you certain about this? More certain than I've been about anything in 2 years. He nodded, opened his Bible, began the words that would bind two strangers together in the eyes of God and the law. When it came time for vows, I looked at Emma, really looked, saw the shadows under her eyes from nights she couldn't sleep, saw the set of her jaw that meant she'd made a decision and wouldn't be moved from it, saw a woman who'd lost everything and was choosing to risk her heart one more time. I don't have poetry, I said. Never been good with pretty words. But I can promise you this. I took her hands. They were cold, steady. I will protect you, by any means necessary. I will be honest with you, straight with you, never make you regret trusting me with this. I paused, felt the weight of the moment. I will be the kind of man my daughter can be proud to call father, and the kind of husband you can be proud to call yours. And I will learn to love again, if you'll give me time. Emma's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. She squeezed my hands once. I promised to stay, to fight for this family, to love Rose as my own, to learn to love you, if you'll be patient with me. The kiss was gentle, questioning, a promise of possibility rather than passion. But it was real, and that mattered more than I'd expected it to. Rose launched herself at us the moment Preacher Johnson pronounced us married, hugged us both with fierce joy. But now I have a mama again. The ranch hands cheered. Walter raised his glass in a toast that made even hardened cowboys wipe their eyes. Judith served cake and whiskey flowed, and for a few hours we almost forgot why we'd rushed into this marriage. Almost. I caught sight of a carriage on the ridge overlooking the ranch. Too far to see clearly, but close enough to know who it was. Victoria, watching, calculating her next move. That night, Emma and I stood in the hallway outside our separate bedrooms. The arrangement had been her idea. Give it time, she'd said. Let it grow naturally. I'd agreed because pushing felt wrong, and because I was still half in love with a ghost. Thank you, I said, for today, for all of it. You don't need to keep thanking me. Yeah, I do. Emma reached out, touched my hand briefly. We're in this together now. Partners. Partners. She went into her room, closed the door quietly. I stood there for a long moment before heading to my own coal bed. 2 weeks of peace. That's all we got. I rode into Miller's Creek for supplies on a Tuesday morning. The town I'd known my whole life suddenly felt different, colder. The merchant who'd sold me nails and flour for 15 years barely looked at me. Mrs. Henderson from the general store turned away when I tipped my hat. Something was wrong. Tom Crawford found me at the saloon, my oldest friend, the sheriff who'd taught me to shoot when we were both 12 years old. He sat down across from me without asking, ordered whiskey without speaking. What's going on, Tom? He drank, set down the glass, looked me in the eye. Ben, there are rumors about your new wife. What kind of rumors? The kind Victoria Aldridge specializes in. Word around town is Emma poisoned her first husband, came to Colorado looking for her next victim. The whiskey in my stomach turned to acid. That's a goddamn lie. I know it is. You know it is. But the good folks of Miller's Creek don't know Emma from Adam. And Victoria's got money enough to make sure everyone hears her version. Who's spreading it can't prove it's her. But the timing's convenient, don't you think? You marry Emma and suddenly she's a black widow? I stood, threw money on the table. I'm going home. Tom caught my arm. Ben, think before you act. Victoria wants you angry, wants you to do something stupid. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm going to protect my wife. I rode back to the ranch with fury turning my vision red. Found Emma in the bedroom packing a bag. My fury turned to ice. What are you doing, leaving? Before the rumors destroy you and Rose both. I took the bag from her hands, unpacked it, put her clothes back in the drawers with deliberate care. Nobody's leaving, I said. My voice was calm. Dead calm. Emma's face crumpled. Ben, I can't let them say those things about you, about Rose. They're not saying things about me. They're saying things about you. And they're lies. Every word. But how do we prove it? Walter appeared in the doorway. I can answer that. He laid out the plan with the precision of the judge he used to be. Letters to Missouri, testimony from people who'd known Emma and Henry, medical records, death certificates, pastors' statements. Everything we needed to build a case so solid Victoria's lies would crumble under their own weight. It'll take 3 weeks, Walter said. Maybe 4. Can you hold out that long? I looked at Emma. She looked back. Something passed between us. Understanding. Commitment. As long as it takes, I said. Emma sat down at the writing desk that night. Started composing letters to people she hadn't spoken to in 4 years. I watched her write to her sister-in-law, Helen. Saw her hands shake as she apologized for years of silence. Saw tears fall onto the paper. I put my hand on her shoulder. Squeezed once. They'll come. They'll testify. You're worth fighting for. She covered my hand with hers. Didn't speak. Didn't need to. 4 weeks after the wedding, everything went to hell. I was riding the south pasture with 2 of my hands, checking fence lines. Normal work on a normal day. The sun was high, the sky clear. Nothing to suggest the world was about to turn inside out. Then I heard it. The crack of a rifle shot echoing off the valley walls. My horse reared. I fought for control. Saw 3 riders emerge from the tree line. Recognized them immediately. The same men who'd confronted Emma on the road. Victoria's hired guns. The leader grinned. Tobacco stains on his teeth. Mrs. Aldridge sends her regards, Mr. Ashford. Said you didn't get the message the first time. My hand went to my pistol. But I was outnumbered, and they knew it. We're not here to kill you, the leader continued. Just convince you. One of his men aimed at my horse, fired. The animal screamed, went down hard, threw me sideways into the rocks. Pain exploded through my left leg. White hot. Blinding. I heard bones snap, felt it grind, looked down and saw my shin bent at an angle that made my stomach heave. Blood everywhere. Bone jutting through torn fabric. My ranch hands drew their weapons. Gunfire erupted. One of the attackers took a bullet to the shoulder. They wheeled their horses and fled. But the damage was done. I lay in the dirt trying not to scream, trying to stay conscious, thinking only one thing over and over. Not now. Rose needs me. Emma needs me. I can't die here. One of the hands rode for help at a full gallop. The other stayed with me. Tried to stop the bleeding with his bandana. His face was white with shock. "Hold on, Mr. Ashford. Help's coming." I gripped his arm. "Fine, Walter. Tell him Victoria did this. Make sure he knows." "Yes, sir." Time became strange, elastic. I don't know how long I lay there. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. The pain was so intense it stopped being pain and became something else. A white noise that filled my entire world. Then I heard hoofbeats. Saw Emma riding toward me like all the demons of hell were on her heels. She dismounted before the horse stopped moving. Dropped to her knees beside me. Her hands moved with absolute certainty. Ripped my belt free. Made a tourniquet. Pulled a bottle of whiskey from her saddlebag. "This is going to hurt," she said. Her voice was steady, clinical, the voice of someone who'd done this before. She poured whiskey over the wound. I bit down on leather and didn't scream. Wouldn't scream. A man didn't scream. The pain went beyond white noise into something transcendent. My vision tunneled. Darkness crept in from the edges. "Look at me," Emma commanded. "Ben, look at me." I focused on her face, on those gray eyes that had seen too much death. "You will not die," she said. "I won't allow it." Then her hands were on my leg, setting the bone with a crack that echoed in my skull. The darkness rushed in, took me. I woke in my own bed 3 days later. Dr. Webb was checking the splint on my leg. Emma sat in a chair by the window. She looked like she hadn't slept since the attack. "Doc," my voice came out as a croak. "Easy, Ben. You've been through hell. But you're going to live. My leg, broken bad. Compound fracture. But Mrs. Ashford here saved your life. Best field medicine I've ever seen." I looked at Emma. She met my eyes. "Thank you," I said. She just nodded. Dr. Webb laid out the prognosis. 6 to 8 weeks before I could walk without crutches. 3 months before I could ride. 6 months before I'd be back to full strength. 6 months. I didn't have 6 months. The ranch needed running. Victoria needed stopping. Rose needed protecting. Walter solved the problem with typical bluntness. "Mrs. Ashford runs things until you're healed." Emma stood. "No, I can't. I don't know anything about cattle or horses or any of it." "You'll learn," I said from the bed. "Same way you learned to set a broken leg in the middle of nowhere." "Ben, I can't ask the men to take orders from me." "You're not asking. I'm telling them. Walter will teach you. The hands will follow or they'll find work elsewhere." Emma stared at me, searching for something. Then she nodded once. "All right, but you have to tell me everything. Every detail. Every decision." Every night she sat with me, gave reports, asked questions, made choices, and every night I saw her grow more confident, more certain. She wasn't pretending to run the ranch, she was actually doing it. The hands tested her at first, Dawkins especially. He questioned moving cattle to the lower fields, challenged her in front of everyone. Emma didn't flinch, explained her reasoning, weather patterns, grazing rotation, things Walter had taught her. When the upper pastures froze solid the next day, exactly as she'd predicted, Dawkins stopped questioning. A fence broke in the west section. Emma didn't send the hands to fix it. She rode out with them, worked alongside them in the cold and mud, came home with blisters on her palms and newfound respect in the men's eyes. By the end of the second week, they were calling her ma'am with genuine respect instead of grudging obligation. I watched my wife become a rancher and felt something I hadn't felt since Sarah died. Pride. Pure and simple. 8 weeks after the wedding, Emma and I were riding to town for supplies. Rose sat behind Emma, chattering about everything and nothing. My leg was healed enough to ride with a brace. Dr. Webb had warned against it. I'd ignored him. 3 riders blocked the road ahead. I recognized them immediately. Victoria's men again. The leader's ear was still bandaged from where Emma had shot him. He smiled when he saw us. "Well, well, the happy family." "Move aside," I said, my hand on my pistol. "Can't do that, Mr. Ashford. Mrs. Aldridge wants us to deliver a message. The message being that she knows all about your pretty wife's past, knows about the dead husband, the convenient inheritance. All of it." Emma's hand moved to her rifle. I saw her check the chamber with practiced ease. One smooth motion. "My husband died of typhoid," she said. "Death certificate says so. Doctor confirms it. You can take your lies back to Victoria." The leader rode closer, trying to intimidate. People believe what they want to believe. And a poor widow who suddenly marries rich. That's quite a story. I tried to move forward. Emma stopped me with a hand on my arm. Let me handle this. She raised the rifle one-handed, aimed it at the leader's breast. Last time I missed on purpose, she said. This time I won't. The three men reached for their weapons. For a moment, the world balanced on a knife edge. One twitch, one mistake, and Rose would watch her new family die in the dirt. Then Emma fired. The bullet hit the ground between the leader's horse's front hooves. The animal reared, nearly through him. His men steadied their horses, hands hovering over their guns. Emma chambered another round. The sound was very loud in the sudden silence. Next one goes center mass, she said. Your choice. The leader looked at her, really looked, saw something in her eyes that made him reconsider. He pulled his horse back. We'll be seeing you again, Mrs. Ashford. I'll be ready. They rode away. Emma lowered the rifle. Her hands were shaking now that the danger had passed. Rose was crying. Mama, Emma, I was so scared. Emma turned, pulled Rose into a fierce hug. It's okay, sweetheart. It's over. I stared at my wife. You could have been killed. She met my eyes. So could you. So could Rose. I won't let them threaten my family. My family. Not Ben's family. Not the family she'd married into. Her family. Something shifted in my chest. Something I'd been holding back since the day we met. Emma, I said, I think I'm falling in love with you. She went very still. You don't have to say that. I know, but it's true, and I needed you to know. She reached out, touched my face with one calloused hand. I think I love you too, she whispered. I kissed her. There on horseback, with our daughter between us, and danger still fresh in the air. Kissed her like I meant it. Because I did. Rose made a disgusted sound. Papa, you're kissing Miss Emma, we laughed. Both of us. And it felt like the first real moment of joy I'd had in 2 years. 3 weeks later, Helen arrived from Kansas. She brought an army with her. Dr. Morrison, who treated Henry during the fever. Pastor Williams, who'd presided at the funeral. 6 neighbors who'd known Emma and Henry for years, all of them willing to testify. Emma broke down when she saw Helen. 2 sisters by marriage falling into each other's arms. 4 years of silence and grief finally breaking. I watched and felt my throat tighten. This was what Emma needed, not just me, not just Rose, but family, real family, people who knew her story and loved her anyway. Victoria made her move 2 days later, showed up with Sheriff Tom Crawford and Judge Morrison and a lawyer from Denver. Demanded Emma confess to murder, confess to fraud. Helen stepped forward, looked Victoria in the eye. My name is Helen Thornton. Henry was my brother. I watched him die of typhoid fever. Watched Emma Todd nearly die trying to save him. Anyone who says different is a liar. The testimonies came one after another. Doctor records, pastor statements, neighbor accounts, each one building an unshakable foundation of truth. Judge Morrison listened to it all. Then he turned to Victoria. Turned to, Mrs. Aldridge, your accusations have no merit. This matter is closed. Victoria's perfect composure shattered. She started crying. Not tears of rage, tears of grief. I had a daughter, she said. Abigail. She died 6 years ago. I just wanted to matter to someone again. I felt pity then, not forgiveness, but understanding. I walked over to her, kept my voice gentle but firm. I understand your pain. I lost my wife. But grief doesn't give us the right to hurt others. Rose isn't Abigail. And I'm not the answer to your loneliness. Emma joined me, added her own mercy to mine. I'm sorry about Abigail. No parent should suffer that. If you want to help, we're building a refuge. For women with nowhere else to go. We could use someone with your organizational skills. Victoria stared at both of us, searching for the trap, finding none. You'd let me help. After everything, everyone deserves a second chance, Emma said. Even you. The next 2 months passed in a kind of careful peace. Victoria kept her distance but sent word through Walter that she was interested in helping with the refuge. Helen stayed on helping Emma with plans for what we were calling Sarah's Haven. The ranch settled into new rhythms. Emma and I grew closer, not just partners anymore, something deeper. Rose thrived, laughed more, smiled more, Started calling Emma Mama without hesitation. And every night when I tucked her in, she'd tell me about her day with the kind of joy I'd thought she'd lost forever. We were building something, not just a refuge, not just a family, but a life worth living. 5 months after the wedding, just as I was beginning to believe the worst was behind us, a messenger arrived with papers that made my blood run cold. Custody petition, filed by Evelyn Whitmore, Sarah's mother, the grandmother who'd cut off all contacts 7 years ago when Sarah chose to marry me. Hearing scheduled for Friday, 3 days away. I stood in my study holding those papers and felt the ground shift beneath my feet. We'd beaten Victoria, cleared Emma's name, built something resembling peace. And now this, another battle, another threat to take Rose away from the only family she'd ever known. Emma found me there an hour later, read the papers over my shoulder, her hand tightened on my arm. "Tell me about her," she said. I sat down heavily, tried to find words for a woman I'd only met once, at my wedding to Sarah. Evelyn Whitmore had arrived in an expensive carriage wearing disapproval like armor, had told Sarah she was making a mistake, marrying beneath her station, throwing away her Boston heritage for a Colorado rancher. Sarah had chosen me anyway. Her mother had never forgiven either of us. "She's wealthy," I said. "Boston society, old money. And she hated me from the moment we met." Why did Sarah cut her off? Evelyn wanted to control everything. Sarah's life, her choices, her future. When Sarah refused, Evelyn cut her off completely. I didn't even know she was still alive until these papers showed up. Emma studied the petition. "She's claiming you're unfit, that Rose needs proper family. What she really wants is the money, isn't it? Rose has a trust fund from Sarah's inheritance. $50,000. If Evelyn controls Rose, she controls the money." Walter appeared in the doorway, face grim. "I've been making inquiries. Evelyn Whitmore's investments have been failing. She's not destitute, but she's not as wealthy as she pretends. This is about money and control." "Then we fight," I said, "same as before." "This is different," Walter said quietly. "Victoria was an outsider. Evelyn is blood. Judges tend to favor blood relatives, especially over a stepmother the child barely knows." "The child knows me," Emma said sharply. "Rose knows exactly who I am." That night I couldn't sleep. Stood by Rose's bed watching her breathe. 7 years old now, growing so fast. Looking more like Sarah every day. If I lost her, if Evelyn took her to Boston, I'd lose everything that mattered. Emma found me there at midnight, put her hand on my shoulder. "We'll win," she said. "We have to. What if we don't? What if the judge decides blood matters more than love? Then we appeal. We keep fighting. We never give up." I turned to look at her, this woman who'd walked into my life in a blizzard and changed everything. "I love you," I said. "Not because I'm supposed to, but because you're the reason I remember how to hope." She kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promises we both prayed we could keep. Evelyn arrived the day before the hearing. I watched her carriage roll up to the house. Expensive, ostentatious, everything about it designed to intimidate. She stepped out like visiting royalty. Tall, elegant, cold. Her eyes swept over the ranch with barely concealed disdain. I met her at the door. "Mrs. Whitmore, Mr. Ashford." Her voice could have frozen water. "I see you've done well for yourself. This was Sarah's home. Now it's Rose's." Evelyn's expression hardened. "We'll see what the court has to say about that." Emma appeared behind me. "You must be Rose's grandmother." "I'm Emma, Rose's mother." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "You're no such thing. You're a stranger who married into money. I'm the woman who tucks Rose in every night, who teaches her to read, who holds her when she cries for her mama." "Where were you, Mrs. Whitmore? Where were you when Sarah died? When Rose screamed herself hoarse crying for her mother?" Evelyn's composure cracked for just a second. "I wasn't invited. You're her grandmother. You could have come anyway. I wasn't welcome." Emma stepped closer. "So you abandoned your granddaughter for 7 years because of pride. And now you want to take her away from the only home she's ever known." Evelyn's face hardened again. The cracks sealed over. "The court will decide what's best for Rose. Not you." She swept past us into the house without waiting for an invitation. Demanded to see her granddaughter. I led her to the parlor where Rose was reading with Judith. Rose looked up, saw Evelyn, went very still. "Hello, Rose," Evelyn said. "Do you remember me?" Rose's hand found mine, held tight. No, ma'am, I'm your grandmother. Your mother's mother. Rose's grip tightened. My mama's in heaven. I know, dear, but I'm still your family. Rose looked up at me. Papa. Her voice was small, scared. I picked her up, held her close. It's okay, sweetheart. Evelyn watched with an expression I couldn't read. Then she turned and left without another word. That night, Rose had nightmares for the first time in months. Woke up screaming, calling for Mama. Both of them, Sarah and Emma. Emma got to her first, held her, rocked her, sang softly until the tears stopped. I stood in the doorway watching, feeling helpless. Feeling rage at a woman who'd abandoned her granddaughter and now wanted to claim her like property. The courthouse was packed the next morning. Every seat filled. Half the town had turned out to watch. The Ashford custody case. Better than theater. I sat at the defendant's table with Emma on one side and Rose on the other. Walter sat behind us as advisor. Across the aisle, Evelyn sat flanked by two lawyers in expensive suits. She looked calm, confident, like she'd already won. Judge Morrison took his seat, the same judge who'd dismissed Victoria's accusations, an old man who'd seen everything twice and believed nothing without proof. We're here to determine custody of Rose Grace Ashford, he said. Mrs. Whitmore, you filed the petition. Present your case. Evelyn's lead lawyer stood, painted a picture of a grieving grandmother denied access to her only grandchild, a girl being raised in isolation, deprived of culture and proper education, a father who couldn't provide the feminine influence a young girl needed. Mrs. Whitmore offers the finest schools Boston has to offer, the lawyer concluded, a life of refinement and opportunity, everything her mother would have wanted for her. Judge Morrison turned to me. Mr. Ashford, your response. I stood, felt every eye in the courtroom on me, took a breath and told the truth. Your Honor, I said, I'm Rose's father, and I've learned how to be a good one. Wasn't easy. When Sarah died, I didn't know the first thing about raising a daughter. Didn't know how to braid hair or answer questions about growing up or any of it. But I learned every day, every mistake. I read books, asked for help, tried and failed and tried again. Because Rose deserves the best father I can be. And if I wasn't that man 2 years ago, I was damn well going to become him. The lawyer objected. Your Honor, this admission proves our point. Mr. Ashford himself admits he's inadequate. I learned, I said, past tense. Rose has everything she needs now. A home, a school, friends, a mother who loves her, a stepmother, the lawyer corrected, a woman with no blood relation to the child. Blood doesn't make you family, I said. Love does, commitment does, being there day after day does. The lawyer pressed on. Mr. Ashford, you weren't there when your wife died. Were you? The courtroom went silent. I felt Emma's hand on my arm, felt Rose's eyes on my face. No, I said quietly, I wasn't. You were in Denver, conducting business. Yes, so you chose money over family. The question hit like a physical blow. I heard gasps from the gallery, saw Evelyn lean forward. I made a decision, I said slowly, a decision I'll regret every day for the rest of my life. I thought I had time, thought I'd be back before the baby came. I was wrong, my voice cracked, had to force the next words out. Every night I asked myself if Sarah would be alive, if I'd been there, if I could have saved her, saved my son. I'll never know, and that's a burden I'll carry to my grave. But I learned from that mistake. I will never leave Rose again. Never put anything ahead of her. Not money, not work, not my own pride. She is everything. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Tell me about Mrs. Ashford, your new wife. I looked at Emma. She nodded. Go ahead. Emma saved our lives, I said. Not once, every single day. When Rose stopped talking after Sarah died, Emma sat with her for hours. Read to her, sang to her, never gave up, until Rose spoke again. When I was injured, Emma ran this ranch. Men twice her age listened to her, respected her. Not because they had to, because she earned it. I took a breath. Emma isn't a replacement mother. She's Rose's real mother, in every way that matters, and I'm asking this court to let her keep being that. The judge made notes. Then he did something unexpected. I'd like to hear from the child, he said. Rose looked up at me with wide eyes. Papa, just tell the truth, sweetheart. That's all you have to do. She walked to the witness stand. So small, so brave. My heart felt like it would burst. Judge Morrison smiled gently at her. Rose, do you understand what's happening here? Yes, sir. The lady wants to take me away. How do you feel about that? Rose's chin lifted. I saw my own stubbornness in that gesture. I don't want to go. This is my home. Papa is my papa. Mama Emma is my mama. I have my room and my horse, Buttercup, and my friends, and Sarah's Haven where I help other people. Sarah's Haven. It's the place Papa and Mama Emma built for women who need help. I teach the little kids to read. The judge nodded. Tell me about your mother, your first mother. Rose closed her eyes. I remember everything Mama Sarah said, every single word. The courtroom stirred. The judge leaned forward. What do you mean everything? Rose opened her eyes. I remember, like it's happening right now. I can see Mama's face, hear her voice. She had a gift I'd never noticed. Perfect recall. What did your mother tell you? The judge asked quietly. Rose's voice was clear and strong. She said, Rose, my darling, don't be scared. Mama will always watch over you from heaven. Be brave. Let people love you. Don't be afraid of new families. Papa will find someone special, someone brave and kind. You'll know her when you see her. Tears ran down Rose's cheeks, but her voice never wavered. I saw her in the blizzard. Mama Emma pulled me out of the snow, fed me, stayed with me. She's the one Mama Sarah meant. I know because Mama told me I'd know. The courtroom was crying now, open weeping from the gallery. Even Judge Morrison's eyes were wet. Walter stood. Your Honor, we have new evidence. A letter from Sarah Ashford, addressed to Rose on her 7th birthday. The judge allowed it. I opened the sealed envelope with shaking hands. Read my dead wife's words aloud. My dearest Rose, if you're reading this, I'm watching from heaven. Your papa is the best man I know. Trust him. If he finds someone new, don't be scared. I ask God to send someone special to love you like I do. Whoever she is, love her back. That's what I want. Not sadness, but more love. Always more love. My voice broke on the last line. Tell Papa I forgive him for not being there. It wasn't his fault. Tell him to forgive himself. I couldn't continue. Just stood there holding the letter and crying for the first time since Sarah's funeral. Emma came to me, held me while I broke apart. She forgave me, I whispered. All this time, and she forgave me. Evelyn was crying too. Her perfect composure shattered. She covered her face with her hands. Judge Morrison banged his gavel, called for order. When the room quieted, he spoke. I've seen many custody cases in my career. Parents fighting like children are property. Money changing hands. Lawyers twisting truth into lies. This isn't one of those cases. He looked at Evelyn. Mrs. Whitmore, I don't doubt you believe you're acting in Rose's best interest. But this child has a family, has parents who love her. Uprooting her now would cause irreparable harm. Furthermore, I find it troubling that you had no contact with this family for 7 years. Not until money became a factor. His gavel came down. Petition denied. Rose Grace Ashford remains with her father and stepmother. This matter is closed. The courtroom erupted. Rose ran to us. We caught her together, held her between us. Our daughter, our family. After everyone left, Evelyn sat alone in the empty courtroom. I approached carefully. Emma tried to stop me, but I shook my head. I sat beside my former mother-in-law. She looked older suddenly. Fragile. She looks just like Sarah, Evelyn said. Same eyes, same spirit. Yes. Evelyn pulled out a bundle of letters, 50 or more, all sealed, all addressed to her in Sarah's handwriting. She wrote me every month for 5 years. I never opened them. Too proud, too angry. Her hands shook. I opened them last night. All of them. She wanted to reconcile, begged me to meet Rose, to forgive, and I was too stubborn. I felt pity then. Real pity. She wasted 7 years because of pride. And now Sarah's gone, and she'll never get those years back. Emma joined us, sat on Evelyn's other side. Sarah's letter that said more love, Emma said quietly. That includes you. Come to Sunday dinner. Meet Rose properly. No lawyers, no fighting, just family. When Evelyn stared at her. After everything I tried to do, everyone deserves a second chance, I said. Even you. 1 year later, spring came early to Colorado. Sarah's Haven stood complete. 25 rooms, full kitchen, classroom, office. The sign above the door read, "A place where broken becomes beautiful." 15 women lived there now, some with children, all with stories that would break your heart. Victoria ran the books. Helen visited from Kansas every month with Walter. They'd gotten married in the fall. The grand opening drew half the county. I stood at the podium and spoke about Sarah, about loss, about turning grief into purpose. My wife died because I wasn't there, I said. I can't change that, but I can make sure no other woman dies from lack of shelter, lack of hope, lack of options. This is Sarah's legacy, our legacy, Rose's legacy. Rose cut the ribbon. 8 years and proud as a queen. The crowd cheered. Evelyn stood in front, tears streaming down her face. She'd become a regular visitor, a real grandmother. Better late than never. That night at our Christmas gathering with everyone we loved packed into our house, Emma stood. "We have news," she said, her hand on her belly. The room went silent, then erupted in joy. "We're having a baby!" Rose screamed with delight, hugged Emma so hard they nearly fell over. "Is it a boy or a girl? We'll know in spring," I said. Later I stepped outside. Needed air, needed to process. Emma found me on the porch. "You're scared," she said. It wasn't a question. Terrified. What if something happens? What if I lose you like I lost Sarah? Amma took my hands, looked me in the eye. "I promise I'll fight. I'll live. For you, for Shlomo, for our family." I pulled her close. "I love you more than I thought possible." "I know, me too." In February, we rode out to Emma's old cabin, the place where we'd met, where everything changed. The cabin was falling apart. Roof caved in, walls crumbling, nature reclaiming what we'd left behind. Rose held baby Henry Daniel, 6 months old, named Henry after Emma's first husband and Daniel after both Emma's lost son and mine. She looked around curiously. "This is where you met Papa, right here," Emma said. "In the middle of a blizzard. It looks sad." "I disagree," I said. "This cabin saved our lives. It deserves better than rot." I'd already made the decision. We'd rebuild it, turn it into a way station for travelers, a place where lost people could find shelter. "What should we call it?" Emma asked. "Daniel's Rest," I said. "After our sons, yours and mine, both named Daniel." Emma's eyes filled with tears. Perfect. Standing there in the ruins of the place where we'd found each other, I felt the weight of everything we'd survived. The blizzard, Victoria, Evelyn, the fights and fears and desperate gambles. All of it had led here, to this moment, this family. "What are you thinking?" Emma asked. I held my son, put my arm around my wife, watched my daughter play in the snow where she'd almost died. "I'm thinking I'm the luckiest man alive." "Why?" "Because I got lost in a storm and found my way home." Emma smiled, kissed me. We stood there as the sun set over our valley, over the ranch we'd built together, the refuge that bore Sarah's name, the family we'd chosen and fought for and refused to let anyone destroy. Below us, Sarah's Haven glowed with light and life. Women who'd been broken were healing. Children who'd known nothing but fear were learning to laugh. This was legacy, not money or land or cattle, but lives touched, hope given, love multiplied. Rose ran up to us, grabbed our hands. "Let's go home." We walked back to the horses together, our family, whole and healed and absolutely unbreakable. And above us, the stars came out one by one, bearing witness, approving, blessing the family we'd forged from storm and sacrifice and stubborn, relentless love.